Howdy folks! Remember a while back when I started a new series where I showed my regular pop collection from 80s and early 90s. I started from the letter A and went to the letter M. I thought today I was going to do part 2 where I start from the letter N and we'll see how far I get. So as usual, a bunch of different kind of pop styles, so I hope you will enjoy this as much as you hopefully did in part 1. So let's get to it. Starting with Nena and their self-titled debut. This is yes, the album with 99 Red Balloons, and this is Fire and Flame, another Nena album. There is an English and a German version. This is the German version where they sing in German. Robbie Neville and his self-titled debut from 1987, a classic that I remember hearing a lot in Swedish radio when I was younger, and not only the singles. Olivia Newton-John and Soul Kiss. And we have Stevie Nicks and Rock a Little. Not the best shape of sleeve, but the record itself is in great shape. More Stevie Nicks, The Other Side of the Mirror. In my opinion, her best solo album. But then also it is produced by Rupert Hine. The Nothing Hillbillies, the side project from Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits. Really relaxing album. Rick Ocasek, or Ocasek, how you prefer to pronounce it, This Side of Paradise, the singer of the Cars. This is a really great solo album, actually. Orleans, an AOR band, and a self-titled one from 1980. Most Orleans albums I have on this in the 70s, but this came in the 80s, so they put in the 80s, of course. Pepsi and Shirley, background singers for Wham and George Michael, and their album All Right Now. Pepsi and Shirley had a hit with Heartache that was really good, and this is also a great album. Prefab Sprout, Jordan the Comeback. The Pursuit of Happiness, TPOH. This is a kind of indie band in the same style as in XTC and so. Actually a really great album. Chris Rea, Water Sign. Chris Rea, The Road to Hell. We have Redbox, remember them? For America, Kulla Yulla 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 Lay. The Circle and the Square is their debut album. REM, Out of Time. And we have Rishnell. Who is Rishnell, you might say? He's a Dutch disco artist from the 80s that was actually pretty good. Especially the song 50-50 is really good. Lee Ritenour, Reet. And we have Reet 2, Lee Ritenour. Kenny Rogers, They Don't Make Them Like They Used to. What About Me, Kenny Rogers. Roxy Music, and Avalon album. And we have German Peter Schilling and The Different Story, World of Lust and Crime. Mostly famous for his song Major Tom. And believe it or not, that one is also here, even though it's far older than this album. Scritti Politti, Songs to Remember. Seals and Croft, The Longest Road. I have more Seals and Croft in the 70s part. But since this came out in 1980, of course I put it in the 80s. Paul Simon, The Rhythm of the Saints. And Paul Simon, Graceland. We're coming to a huge part, my Simple Minds collection. This is Life in a Day. New Gold Dream. Songs and Fascination. One of my absolute favorites, Once Upon a Time. Another one of my favorites, Sparkle in the Rain. Live in the City of Lights. And Street Fighting Years. Sadly underrated Simple Minds album. The Smiths' Hat Full of Hollow. And we're coming to another great band, Sniffin' the Tears. This is The Game's Up, my favorite by them. This is really, really great. And we have Sniffin' the Tears, Love Action. And we have Ride Blue Divide. And we have a collection called Retrospective. Another Sniffin' the Tears is in the 70s. That one containing a driver's seat. Dusty Springfield and Reputation, where half of the album is produced by Pet Shop Boys. Steely Dan and a collection called Gold, and Gaucho, Steely Dan. Stephanie, the Princess of Monaco, who did some music in the 80s. And it's not all that bad, actually. She's not a good singer. I'm not going to say that, but it's nice 80s production. Sting, Soul Cages. And Sting, Dream of the Blue Turtles. And we have Sting, Bring on the Night, a live album. Coming to the Stranglers, Dreamtime. Swing Out Sister, a great band. It's Better to Travel. Liv Sørensen from Denmark, Himlen ned på jorden, singing in Danish. 10cc, Are You Normal? 10cc, Windows in the Jungle. This is a late one, as this also is. And we have 10 out of 10. Helen Terry, Blue Notes. We have Nolan Thomas, Joe Little Brother. Remember Nolan Thomas? Or Marco Calfa, as he's called these days. Thompson Twins, a product of. Very early Thompson Twins. And Close to the Bone. Thompson Twins, Into the Gap. And naturally, Here's to Future Days. John Townley, More Than a Dream. Pretty unknown AOR singer-songwriter, but really great one. Tina Turner and Private Dancer. The Best of UB40. UB40 is a kind of a band that I feel like I'm good with only having a compilation. That's all I need by them, actually. Because the single was good, but I'm not that huge reggae fan, so I would need a complete album by them. Tracy Ullman, You Caught Me Out. And Tracy Ullman, You Broke My Heart in 70 Places. It's interesting that Tracy Ullman once were a really great singer with a 60s style. Today she's most famous for being the one who introduced The Simpsons. And we have the best of Tracy Ullman, Forever. Wang Chung, a British band that spelled a little different here with an H. This is a British new wave band. However, their album Mosaic from '86, they are spelled with a W, and they do more commercial, regular pop. So that is why I don't put it in new wave, because it's one album each in different genres, and I felt like, well, I'm putting it in the regular one. Wax, Magnetic Heaven, Wax, Andrew Gold and Graham Goldman, More 10cc Connections. And American English, Jane Wiedlin from the Go-Go's had a very forgotten solo career, but it was way better than it was actually what was said and was selling. I think it is very underrated, especially her albums here in the 80s. This is Tangled. This is Fur. This is my favorite album by Jane Wiedlin. Has some really great songs. Rush Hour and Inside a Dream. Kim Wilde, her debut with Kids in America. Close with You Came and so on. Catch as Catch Can. Another Step, maybe not her actually best, but good one. Select. Love Moves. And we're coming to Stevie Winwood, Talking Back the Night. Talking Back to the Night, sorry. XTC, Oranges and Lemons. This is a really great one, consisting some of XTC's best songs. Yellow, You Gotta Say Yes to Another Excess. And we have Yellow 1 Second. And my favorite, Yellow Flag. Stella. Coming to Paul Young, No Parley. Here you see some of his most familiar songs. Paul Young, From Time to Time, a singles collection from 1991. The Secret of Association. This is my favorite Paul Young album. Every Time You Go Away and so on. Between Two Fires from 86. And we have Other Voices. And we come to the records that I have yet to listen to. And I hope that I will be able to listen to, if not all, but most of them one of these days. It's a hard time to find a place to listen to so much, actually, when I also have to listen to the new stuff that I buy. So I have a lot to do. But we'll start with Adamant and Strip. We have The Adventures, Trading Secrets with the Moon. Aha, from Norway, East of the Sun and West of the Moon, with their cover of Crying in the Rain. Animotion and their debut with Obsession. Bad Manners, Ska and B. And Gosh, It's the Bad Manners. And Bad Manners Looney Tunes. Breathe, Peace of Mind. One in wrong. So we have Jackson Browne and Lives in the Balance. Paul Carrack, Groove Approved. This is Peter Cetera and a very early solo album from 1981. And I remember I bought it in Stockholm, was surprised by that Cetera actually released solo albums so early. I thought that Solitude Solitaire with Glory of Love was his first solo album, but boy was I wrong. And speaking of Chicago, this is a live album, a little low budget live album, but still fun to have. 21, Chicago. Phil Collins, but seriously hits live. Marshall Crenshaw, Downtown. Crowded House and Woodface. We have Curiosity to Kill the Cat, Get Ahead, the album with their hit Name and Number from 89. Eurythmics, Touch. We have Eurythmics in the Garden, their debut. Fleetwood Mac, Behind the Mask. The Best of Fun Boys 3 with Terry Hoare. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to Pleasure Dome, an 80's classic. Peter Gabriel and self-titled, the one with Shock the Monkey. Genesis and there's a self-titled. Boy George with Sold, the one with Everything I Own and so on. I always said that I think Boy George is much more interesting on his own than with Culture Club. Glass Tiger from Canada, Diamond Sun. Hall and Oates with Nucleus. I was very, very puzzled when I found this one because it contains songs I never heard of. I found no information whatsoever. Was it a bootleg? Was it live? What was it? I found out on a discussion forum that it most likely is some of their earliest stuff. So very interesting to have. Jay Giles Band, Freeze Frame. Little Rick Steven and Freedom, No Compromise, the one with Little Fruit. Icicle Work and Permanent Damage. Corey Hart, Boy in the Box, the one with Never Surrender. And here comes First Offense, the Corey Hart album with Sunglasses at Night. Hubert K, Sound of My Heart. And who is Hubert K? Well, Hubert K is a band in the Michael Creto stable that produced my favorite Sandra. And if you hear a male vocalist in Sandra's songs, it is the singer Hubert K who does those voices. Hollywood Beyond and the album If. Hollywood Beyond is famous for only What's the Color of Money. Here comes Jelly Bean, a great producer just visiting this planet. We're having some really 80s dance music. Elton John, Sleeping with the Past. And Elton John live in Australia with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. Victim of Love, Elton John. We have Holly Johnson, Dreams That Money Can't Buy. Holly Johnson from Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Greg Keane and the Greg Keane Band. The one with, this is a compilation of some sort, I think. Sandra Kim from Belgium. She was 13 years old when she won the Eurovision Song Contest with J'aime la vie, which is the title of this album also. Kissing the Pink and Naked. And KLF, Chill Out, made before their breakthrough in 1990. Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, Mainstream. Christine McVie, self-titled. Paul McCartney, Pipes of Peace. Mezzo Forte, Observations. We have Miami Sound Machine and Primitive Love. Kane Gang, that I also showed in the previous part. This is their follow-up album, Miracle. Wasn't that big hit though. Nena, It's All in the Game. And this is interesting because this actually is the English version of Fire and Flame. Nena Fagenseit. Stevie Nicks, Belladonna. Chris Rea, Wired to the Moon. Chris Rea, Shamrock Diaries. Sanne Salomonsen, coming to Danish great singer. This is Sanne Salomonsen and Annie Linnet. Krig und Kärlighet, Love and War in British. These are two of Denmark's most famous Danish singers. So we have No Angel, Sanne Salomonsen, and Sanne Salomonsen's Sanne is her most famous, most selling album actually. Simple Minds, Empires and Dance. And we have Simple Minds, Real to Real Cacophony. Simply Red, Picture Book. And more Danish, Lis Sørensen, Hjertets Sang. Rod Stewart, Out of Order. Strawberry Switchblade was a British pop, synth pop band. They had one hit with Since Yesterday and did a really great version of the Dolly Parton song Jolene also. Texas, their debut, South Side. The Touch with Terence Trent D'Arby, early works. This is a band that Terence Trent D'Arby was a part of before he had his solo breakthrough. So this is an album with their early stuff with Terence Trent D'Arby. Was Not Was, What's Up, Dog. The album with Boom Boom, Akalaka Laka Boom, Walk the Dinosaur. Wham! And their the final, Steve Winwood and Chronicles. We have Steve Winwood and Ark of a Diver. Back in the High Life, Steve Winwood. Thompson Twins set, a real early Thompson Twins. And we have Paul Young and a nice Japanese live album that I managed to find at the record fair. I think it was 2014 when I started my channel actually. And we come to the final part here. That are in no particular order, not in an alphabetic order, even though Alan Parsons' project starts with their album Gaudi, their final one if I'm not wrong. Chris Rea, On the Beach. John Miles, Transition, from 1985. And Ian Thomas, Square One. Who is Ian Thomas, you might ask? He was a kind of a 80's rock singer-songwriter style, and the little I've heard is actually sounding interesting. It's from 1988. John Miles, Sympathy. Eric Martin, I'm Only Fooling Myself. Eric Martin, who is also the singer in Mr. Big. The Go-Go's, Beauty and the Beat. And Paul McCartney, McCartney 2. And no, McCartney 3 will never be in my collection. The other ones, a German band that had a big hit with Holiday. And real happy, go happy summer tunes. Actually really nice. Greg Keen Band, Contagious. The Boomtown Rats, Deep. And we have more Boomtown Rats, In the Long Grass. Greg Keen again, Citizen Keen. Gotta give it to Greg Keen. He is fantastic to twist his name in various forms. Huey Lewis and the News. This is actually their self-titled debut. The Alarm from 1989. Annabelle Lamb, When Angels Travel. Annabelle Lamb that you saw a couple of records with in the previous part. Peter Goodwin, Correspondence. Really nice pop, new wave, synth pop. A little in the crisscross line there, wherever I should put it. But Dire Straits, Alchemy, Live. Maybe I should put this one in rock section, we'll see. Malcolm McLaren and the Bootzilla Orchestra, Wall Stalling. The only Malcolm McLaren album I have. In Excess, The Swing. Boomtown Rats and Mongo Bongo. J Guy's Band, You're Getting Even With. I'm Getting Odd. Teresa Bazaar, The Big Kiss. Teresa Bazaar from the group Dollar in a very interesting 80's production. The House Martins, The People Who Grinned Themselves to Death. Afraid of Mice and a self-title. Afraid of Mice is kind of a indie new wave rockish band that I haven't made up my mind yet if I should put them in pop, rock or whatever, but we'll see when I listen to it. Art of Noise, Invisible Silence, containing, as you can see, Paranoia, Paranoia, Paranoia. Kissing the Pink, Certain Things Are Likely. Intimate Strangers is Charm. And this also is a very unknown band that are in the crisscross between pop and synth pop, 80's pop style. Animotion and the 89 album, self-titled, with Room to Move. Scissors Cut, Art Garfunkel. And Dr. Hook, Rising. Elton John, Breaking Hearts. Flash in the Pan, Headlines. A little forgotten Paul Simon, One Trick Pony. Elton John, Eyes on Fire. Bill Joel, Nylon Curtain. And more Bill Joel, Songs in the Attic. Oh, sorry, I forgot these ones also. Nick Haywood, I Love You Avenue. Nick Haywood from Haircut 100. Messina is a Jim Messina and the album Messina from 1981. Messina from Loggins and Messina, Kenny Loggins' partner. Genesis, Abacab. We have John Miles, wrong turned, miles per hour, MMPH. And we have Flash in the Pan, Lights in the Night. And that was it. We're done. And I'm happy that it only took me 2 parts actually. But still, I have a lot to listen to. The interesting thing about collecting 80's on vinyl from a certain era is that it's of course get harder and harder to find new stuff because you feel like you have everything. You have to really think hard and search hard and do some researching. What is it I need in this genre? Because jazz is one thing, because there are tons of releases in numerous order, live recordings and so on. In pop, it's more focused on one album in a whole different other way than it is on jazz. So it's harder to find newer stuff that I don't have in this case. So it will be very, very interesting to see what will come next. But this was still my collection of regular pop, 80's and early 90s. I hope that you have enjoyed this. So until next time, take care and so long.